This is a privacy policy. Most people think that a privacy policy is a long, complicated document full of legal mumbo-jumbo that can be pretty confusing and not always the most useful. And it is. That's exactly what a privacy policy is. But at LinkedIn, we're going to try and convince you that we're different. At LinkedIn, we believe that a privacy policy should be easy to understand, but it's not, and centered around protecting you, but mostly us, our members, to ensure that we continue to earn your trust and personal information. So we've designed our policy around putting our members first, but not really. We give you clarity, consistency, and control over your information, without letting you know that you've even given us consent to take this information. We make it, quote unquote, clear what data we collect, how we collect it, and how we use it. For example, when you register, we collect information to help you set up your account. We also store and collect data on how you use the site and how you interact with third-party services and applications, so we can help you create the professional networking opportunities you need to transform your career. Or ruin it. We never rent, sell, or distribute your private information to third parties, unless you ask us to. Like when you ask us to make a secure transaction on your behalf, or forget to change your default settings. The information you, more likely we, choose to provide enables us to enhance your experience, whatever that means, and make LinkedIn work better for you. Through your LinkedIn account, you can control what information people see and how it can be used. Of course, you can always request to simply close your account, but there's no need to do that, because we've worked hard to earn the trust of millions of professionals, just like you. So please, please don't leave us. From our members to our employees and partners, trust is what powers the LinkedIn Professional Network. Yeah, right. Okay, so here's the deal. We measured LinkedIn according to the 10 Federal Information Processing Standards, and based on the following criteria, we gave them a B-. The first criteria is to be accountable. In order to be accountable, a company is expected to assign responsibility to an individual for implementing procedures to handle personal information. They're also required to provide contact information for said individual that the public is able to access. LinkedIn has 2 support centers, one in California, providing support for the United States, and one in Ireland, supporting the rest of the world. LinkedIn adheres to this standard pretty well, providing necessary information and responding to feedback. We tested this by sending LinkedIn an email to see if they would reply to our inquiries about their privacy policy. They quickly responded with an automated response explaining they would initiate a ticket and send it to the right department. 3 days later, they replied telling us they couldn't disclose behind-the-scenes information regarding their privacy policy. The second standard is to identify the purpose of the collected information. In their privacy policy, LinkedIn is very explicit about the information they collect and the purpose of such information. Their policy is clear and written in plain English, and is always updated when changes are made. The third thing they need to do is obtain informed consent. This means informing users what information LinkedIn wishes to obtain, how it will be used, with whom it will be shared, and finally, asking for permission to obtain it. LinkedIn requires that users opt in to the sharing of all information when creating an account, and only after an account has been created do they allow people to opt out of sharing certain information. This requires users to give LinkedIn permission to take and share all of their information before they have the chance to withdraw any of that consent. The fourth standard is to limit the collection. This requires that LinkedIn only collect information that is necessary for explicit business purposes, not collecting more information than necessary. Unfortunately, this is where LinkedIn falls short. Did you know that when you use the LinkedIn app on your smartphone, LinkedIn downloads and saves all of your contacts' information? This includes their names, phone numbers, email addresses, birthdays, home addresses, and any other information on a person's contact card in your phone. Without their consent, that sounds more like a privacy breach than anything to me. Next, LinkedIn is required to limit use, disclosure, and retention. This means that LinkedIn has set standards for keeping and destroying information given to them by members. LinkedIn allows members to delete personal information and close their account whenever they see fit. That being said, personal information is kept for 30 days before it is depersonalized. The depersonalized information is then kept in LinkedIn's database. When it comes to sharing data with third parties, LinkedIn will not share data unless they have a good faith belief that disclosure is permitted by law or is reasonably necessary to 1. Comply with a legal requirement or process, including but not limited to civil and criminal subpoenas, court orders, or other compulsory disclosures. 2. Enforce this privacy policy or other user agreement. 3. Respond to claims of a violation of the rights of third parties. 4. Respond to member service inquiries. Or 5. Protect the rights, properties, or safety of LinkedIn, their services, members, visitors, or the public. The 6th standard is to be accurate. It is LinkedIn's responsibility to make sure that everyone's information is presented as intended by the user. As a social networking site, a majority of LinkedIn's information is user-generated, therefore accurate. But we aren't saying that all user-generated content is accurate. The likelihood of users posting deceiving information on a business networking site isn't very likely, so LinkedIn did well in this category. Next, LinkedIn is required to use appropriate safeguards. LinkedIn uses extensive protocols to ensure that user information is secure. They integrate the use of CAPTCHA, email verification, secure browsing, and two-step verification to maintain strict security standards surrounding your personal information. The 8th standard is to be open. This means that LinkedIn is required to establish transparent communication protocols, informing users of how information is handled. Although they generally comply with this standard, a recent class action lawsuit against the company would deem otherwise. When users click the Add Connections button, they unknowingly give LinkedIn permission to scan their contacts and email anyone who doesn't have an account with LinkedIn. While this may seem reasonable, the real issue came when LinkedIn sent out 2 more emails to recipients who didn't sign up after the first email communication. The issue with this is that it was done without the consent of the user, and LinkedIn overstepped their bounds without letting the user know or asking permission. LinkedIn is also required to give individuals access. Individual access is integral to LinkedIn's success as a social networking site, so it's not surprising that LinkedIn allows its users to access, correct, or delete their personal information, but only regarding their profiles. On LinkedIn's applications, SlideShare, you must email them and request for personal information to be deleted. We're not so sure how we feel about that. Finally, LinkedIn is required to provide resource. LinkedIn provides members with information pertaining to who they can contact with complaints on their privacy policy section of the website. They are also able to track complaints after they've been received to see where they stand. LinkedIn also has a video explaining their privacy policy so that users don't have to read through the extensive brief. After taking all of this into consideration, we believe that LinkedIn deserves a grade of a B-. This is because they do outline the use of information very clearly, but deceive users as to what information is being collected and sent to them via email. That being said, LinkedIn is on the road to excelling in regards to user privacy, but they still have a ways to go.